There are moments in life when we find ourselves standing at a quiet crossroads, the intersection of shame and hope. We pause, not because we want to, but because we have to. Life has brought us to a full stop. Maybe we failed someone we love. Maybe we failed ourselves. Maybe we've walked down a path so long, so far, that we barely recognize the person we've become. And when we finally look in the mirror, really look, we don't like what we see. The smile is there, maybe. The appearance is intact, but inside the weight of disappointment, of missed chances, of sins we thought were small but grew into, burdens too heavy to carry, it all sits there, quietly, constantly. That's where many of us live, somewhere between the guilt we carry and the hope we still dare to believe in. And maybe, if you're listening right now, you know exactly what I mean. Maybe this morning, or this very moment, you're carrying a silent ache inside, a longing to start over, a craving not just to fix what went wrong, but to be renewed from the inside out. Let me tell you something. I've learned through my own brokenness. That's not weakness. That's the beginning of grace. You see, there comes a point when all our efforts at self-help, self-repair, or even self-forgiveness fall short. When the motivational books don't work. When the positive thinking fades. When we realize that what we need isn't more strength, it's surrender. And it's right there in that raw and vulnerable space that the mercy of God rushes in, not to condemn, but to restore, not to lecture, but to love. We serve a God who meets us, not at our best, but at our lowest. A God who doesn't wait for us to clean up before he steps in. No, he steps into the mess, into the regret, into the private shame, and he whispers something radical. I can make you new. That's why prayer isn't just a religious routine, it's a lifeline. It's our soul crying out for what only God can do, to create in us a new heart. A heart that no longer limps under the weight of guilt. A heart that beats again with purpose, with purity, with hope. You may think your heart is too far gone, that the cracks run too deep. But here's the truth. God is not afraid of brokenness. In fact, he specializes in it. And to show us just how deep his mercy goes, he gave us a story, a real one, the story of a man named David. Maybe you've heard of him. The shepherd boy who became king, the giant slayer, the songwriter of Israel. But David's story is not just one of triumph, it's one of failure too. Deep, dark, devastating failure. David committed adultery with Bathsheba, then orchestrated the death of her husband Uriah to cover it up. The man who once chased after God's own heart found himself trapped in sin, guilt, and silence. But in that silence, when the noise of excuses faded, David did the only thing he could. He cried out to God. He didn't ask for a second chance to prove himself. He didn't ask for a polished reputation. He asked for something far more intimate, far more honest. He prayed, "Create in me a pure heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me." That one verse, Psalm 51:10, became his turning point, and it can become ours too. David knew his heart didn't just need a touch-up. He wasn't asking God to clean what was already there. He was asking for something completely new. The Hebrew word used for create is the same word found in Genesis. When God created the heavens and the earth, bara, meaning to make something out of, nothing. David was saying, God, I don't just need repair, I need recreation. I need you to do what only you can do, make me new from the inside out. And maybe today that's exactly what your heart is longing for too. You don't need another self-help strategy. You need spiritual transformation. You don't need more information. You need divine intervention. You need the same thing David needed. Not a better version of the old you, but a brand new beginning. Birthed in grace, grounded in mercy. And friend, the very fact that you're here listening to this message, longing for change, that's already evidence that God is working in you. That tug on your heart, that ache for more, that's the Holy Spirit. That's divine movement. And it's no accident. Don't ignore it. Don't push it aside. Lean in. Let God meet you there. Because the truth is, there is hope beyond failure. there is cleansing beyond guilt. There is a pure heart waiting to be created in you, not by your hands but by His. So, as we step into this time of prayer and reflection together, I invite you not to come with shame, but with surrender. Don't come pretending. Come as you are, just like David did. Bring the real you, the tired you, the guilty you, the broken you, and trust that the God who formed the stars from darkness can form something new in your heart today. Let's begin this journey, not toward perfection but toward healing, not toward performance but toward presence, His presence, because that's where true transformation begins, right here, right now. There's something deeply humbling about the prayer David speaks in Psalm 51:10. It's not just a plea, it's a surrender. He says, "Create in me a pure heart, O God." And that word, create, it carries far more weight than we often realize. In Hebrew, the original word used here is bara. It's the same word used in the very first verse of the Bible, Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That creation wasn't a rearranging of something old. It wasn't a renovation. It was a divine act of bringing something into existence that never existed before. That's what David is asking for. He's not asking God to improve his heart or clean up what's already there. He's asking for something entirely new, a miracle of spiritual creation. Think about that. David, a man who had known the presence of God, who had worshipped, who had led, who had conquered giants, had come to a place so broken, so undone, that he realized he couldn't patch himself back together. He didn't need a spiritual bandage. He needed a heart transplant. Have you ever been there? In a place where you knew no amount of self-effort could fix? What was wrong inside? Maybe you've tried to clean up your habits, make better choices, start fresh, but the weight keeps coming back. The guilt lingers, the shame reappears. And it's in that moment, when you realize you can't fix yourself, that you finally become open to the kind of transformation only God can do. David's prayer reminds us that true spiritual renewal doesn't start with striving, it starts with surrender. And when we ask God to create in us a pure heart, we're not asking to become perfect. We're asking to become free. Free from the dirt that shame throws on our identity, free from the lies we've believed about our worth, free from the cycles we keep repeating because we think we're too far gone. A pure heart isn't about being flawless. It's about being made new by grace. It's about being washed by forgiveness. And here's what's so beautiful. When God purifies your heart, He doesn't just erase your past. He rewrites your story. He doesn't pretend the wounds never happened. He heals them. And through those healed places, He begins to speak something new, not just over you, but through you. But David doesn't stop there. He goes on to say, "And renew a steadfast spirit within me." And this part is just as powerful, because having a new heart is the beginning, but we need a steadfast spirit to stay the course. Let's be honest, life is full of ups and downs. There are days when faith feels easy, when worship flows naturally, when we feel close to God. And then there are days when doubt creeps in, when temptation knocks, when life breaks unexpectedly, and we find ourselves slipping. That's why David asks for something more than just a moment of forgiveness. He asks for endurance. A steadfast spirit is one that doesn't waver when the storm hits. It's rooted, anchored. It doesn't give in to pressure. It doesn't compromise when things get uncomfortable. And it doesn't quit when the path gets long. We live in a world that constantly pulls us in every direction. Our emotions, our surroundings, even our own thoughts can be unstable. But a steadfast spirit keeps us centered, not because we're strong, but because God is. David knew that he couldn't generate that kind of strength on his own. This wasn't about human willpower. It was about divine empowerment. Sometimes we confuse spiritual strength with personal discipline. And while discipline matters, there's a deeper truth, real. Spiritual stability doesn't come from us holding tightly to God. It comes from knowing that He is holding tightly to us. When you ask God for a steadfast spirit, you're not saying, "God, help me try harder." You're saying, "God, help me trust deeper. Help me stand not on my emotions, not on my circumstances, but on your unchanging grace." And the incredible thing is, He answers that prayer. Little by little, He builds in us a resilience that surprises even us. Not a hard heart, but a steady one. Not a cold heart, but a grounded one. So if today you're feeling tossed around, if you feel like you're constantly starting over, constantly falling short, I want you to know this. You don't need to muster up more willpower. You need to ask for what David asked for: a new heart, a steadfast spirit, a fresh beginning, formed by God, not fabricated by human effort. You don't have to stay stuck in cycles of guilt and shame. You don't have to pretend to have it all together. What you need is already being offered to you, right here, right now. Let this be your prayer. Today, create in me a pure heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me. And say it, not out of fear but with hope, because we serve a God who delights in renewal, who restores the broken, and who never grows tired of making things new. Wherever you are right now, whether on the mountaintop or in the valley, He's near, and He's not asking you to fix yourself. He's inviting you to open yourself, to let Him do what only He can. You don't need to perform. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to pray honestly, humbly, and He will meet you there. That's the promise, that's the invitation, and that's the beginning of true transformation. We often hope that transformation will come in a flash, that one prayer, one breakthrough, one moment in the presence of God will fix everything. But real transformation, especially spiritual transformation, is rarely instant. It's not a switch we flip. It's a journey, a sacred process, a daily surrender. David's prayer in Psalm 51 wasn't meant to be a one-time cry. It was the beginning of something deeper, a lifestyle of coming back to God over and over again, allowing Him to do what only He can. See, change doesn't happen just because we try harder. True change happens because God steps in, because His Spirit begins to move in places we didn't even know were broken. And here's the truth we all need to hear. There is no heart too stained for God to cleanse, no soul too shattered for Him to restore. Maybe you've lived with secrets no one else knows. Maybe your past feels too heavy, your guilt too deep, your shame too loud. But God doesn't see you as too far gone. He sees you as someone worth redeeming, spiritual. Transformation isn't about fixing ourselves. It's about being remade by the one who knows us completely and still chooses to love us endlessly. Yes, it will take time. Yes, it may be slow, uncomfortable, even painful, but it will be worth it, because every step, every surrender, every quiet prayer becomes part of a bigger story, a story of healing, of rebuilding, of hope. So don't be discouraged if you're still struggling. Don't give up if you don't feel there yet. God is not done with you. What He starts, He finishes. And even when you can't see it, He's working, softening, reshaping, renewing your heart one layer at a time. Let this truth sink in. You're not walking toward transformation alone. You're being carried by grace. You're being led by love. And the God who made you is the same God who will make you new, day by day, moment by moment, prayer by prayer. Have you ever reached a point in your life where you realized, my heart isn't where it used to be? Maybe you've drifted. Maybe your heart has grown cold. Maybe pride, pain, bitterness, or disappointment has hardened you more than you thought possible. Today, I want to invite you into a sacred space, a moment of deep honesty and surrender. A moment not to perform, but to pray. Let this be our prayer. God, I come to you with a heart that's not pure. I confess what's hidden, what's selfish, what's proud. I confess the ways I've let pain define me. the ways I've closed off parts of my heart to protect myself, but in doing that, I've grown distant from you. Create in me a pure heart, O God, not a slightly improved version of what I have, but a completely new heart, a heart that loves what you love and hates what you hate, a heart that no longer finds comfort in sin but finds joy in righteousness. Take away this heart of stone, this numbness, this pride, this bitterness. Replace it with a soft heart, one that is sensitive to your spirit, quick to obey, quick to forgive, quick to love. And Lord, renew a steadfast spirit within me, not a fleeting passion, not just an emotional response, but a deep-rooted strength that endures, a spirit that doesn't waver in chaos, doesn't compromise under pressure, and doesn't give up when the road gets long. Give me discernment to make wise choices. Give me courage to walk in truth, even when it costs me something. Give me the perseverance to keep going when I feel tired, unseen, or overwhelmed. Let my faith be steady. Let my hope be anchored. Let my life be shaped, not by fear, but by your grace. And now, let's pray for those around us, for the ones who feel they've gone too far, fallen too hard, or failed too often. Maybe you're watching this and you feel like there's no way back. But I want you to know, God's mercy is new every morning. His grace is enough for every failure. His love is stronger than every sin. No matter how far you've run, you are not disqualified from redemption. No matter how many times you've broken your promises, God still longs to restore you. Your story is not over. There is no such thing as too late when it comes to God. A pure heart is. Not a proud heart. It's a grateful one. It doesn't boast in its righteousness. It trembles in awe that God would still choose us. A steadfast spirit is not rigid or harsh. It's tender with mercy, anchored in truth, and overflowing with love for others. So today, I want to ask you to do something simple but powerful. If this prayer echoes in your soul, type in the comments below, "Create in me a pure heart." Let it be your declaration. Let it be your first step into a new beginning. And if you feel led, share your thoughts or your story. You never know who might be reading it, someone who needs to see that they're not alone. Your testimony may be the spark of hope someone else desperately needs. We serve a God who specializes in new beginnings. He is the God of second chances, the God who restores, renews, and resurrects what we thought was lost. So don't be afraid to come close. Don't be ashamed to return. He is waiting, not with judgment but with open arms. And today can be your day of renewal.